This, of course, is the Sigma 14mm F1.8. Now, the box is empty because I'm using the lens right now on my S5. I've been having difficulty getting this shot with the autofocus face tracking. It's the worst experience I've had so far with a Sigma or Panasonic lens on the mount. Yeah, that's not got me, has it? And I'm selecting it at the back. I don't think that's what this lens is designed for. So we're going to look at it up close, see what's what physically. There's a few little things we need to talk about, throw up a lot of random test shots that aren't like this, in all honesty. Let me just say, I did this shot here because I did the same thing with the Sigma 16-28 and really enjoyed that lens. And I thought the extra couple mil might be fun to play with. Now at this focal distance, there is a bit of distortion going on, but maybe back there, it's not so bad. Anyway, interiors is one thing, Astro's another. That's not my thing. I'll need to hear from you about Astro, but in my random tests, I'll be able to see how the lens performs overall, and then maybe we can apply that to some of your specialities, and more importantly, hear from you in the comments below. Right, I think that's enough. This definitely wasn't the lens for this kind of video, but there we go. Typically, we've got the instruction manual and the warranty bits and pieces. We've got the strap to go with the very nice case. Always love a good Sigma case. And of course, way more interesting, the lens itself. We've got this nice big fat cap right here, which reveals that crazy bulbous lens. Look at that. Of course, we've got a focal length of 14mm, aperture 1.8 to f16. Now you'll see there is no aperture ring there. All you've got is an AF/MF focus switch, which is nice as it is. Manual focusing. It is what it is. It's not amazing, but it's smooth. But what you will see, which could be very handy for some of you, is this scale window. Very handy, especially for landscape shooters, zone shooters. That is pretty cool. Now, the lens itself, basically, 9 diaphragm blades, 16 elements in 11 groups, closest focusing distance of 27 centimeters with a maximum magnification ratio of 1 to 9.8. Now, as you can imagine, we can't use screw-in filters, and I think you're going to struggle with fitting a plate system there. I know what I mean. It's not weather sealed, and it weighs a mighty 1.185 kilos. So yeah, this is not a lens for the faint-hearted. Let's see how we get on. Obviously the intro wasn't a great experience, but that's not really what the lens is for. If you're not into big heavy lenses with no aperture ring, this might not work out for you. Also, the autofocus was a bit of a letdown compared to the other lenses I've tried on my S5. I actually lost a few shots that I thought were nailed on, which was kind of annoying, but then maybe my tests were a bit too general for the typical use this lens is designed for, and it's not as if the autofocus was a complete failure. Far from it. It's worth mentioning again the filter situation. You're going to need a 150mm filter holder or even a rear mount filter. And yeah, once you've sorted that out, you're set. So overall build quality and handling performance is very good, and for what the lens offers, it should last a long enough time. Although it's not weather sealed, you should do okay in varied weather conditions, taking of course the usual precautions. The lens has very good sharpness in the center, and considering the ultra wide angle, the detail at the edges is generally not too bad. Wide open, that is. It improves a lot around f4 onwards. Now, color rendering is excellent. The lens works really well with the sensor of my S5. Even on a pretty dull day, you can get that nice pop if you go looking for it. Contrast is also excellent, just the right levels of micro contrast. The lens differentiates well, so, you know, big tick for that aspect of image quality too. Now, chromatic aberration, fringing and the like is pretty good or easy to correct in post. When it comes to distortion, naturally you have to be very careful with your horizons, for example. But overall, at standard focusing distances, the lens does well. Get close and, you know, off center and life does get a bit complicated. Vignetting at f1.8 is not ideal, but go to around f2.8 onwards and things get better. Also, when it comes to sun stars, not that there's been that much of it around lately, you know, and flares, the lens performs well. So overall, when it comes to image quality, which is the most important thing, given the ultra-wide nature of this lens and the bright aperture, the lens performs quite well, and in the right hands is a very worthy tool. The lens is going for around $13.99 new or $944 used these days. So is it worth it? Well, there's nothing this wide and this fast on the market for L mount. So if you need 14mm and f1.8, this is it. If those factors are a must and you can live with the underperforming autofocus, then this lens will do you proud. It's not really a lens for a casual shooter, of course. You know, if you've got the money to spare, sure, why not? And at this price and bulk, you do need to be pretty serious about using this lens. But, you know, you can go home with some great results. Way better than my test shots, of course. They were just, you know, to get an idea of the lens. Once I started playing with it later, I found myself more inspired, and I'm sure you will be too. The lens is obviously far from perfect. Maybe the 14 to 28 from Sigma will be more suitable for me personally. But yeah, now more importantly, I want to hear from you to hear how you get on with this lens. Remember, this is just what I think. It's more important what you think. So look out for your comments in the comments below, basically. Yeah. So until then, take it easy.